right, let's do this test. Let's drive around and see what the road is like. I wonder right now, if you are an NFL draft pick, what are you thinking about right now? I mean, as you sit either in Chicago or maybe at your home, hoping to sit there with friends, as your life is going to change with just the announcement of your name. Just think. The NFL draft has now started. The Los Angeles Rams, you're on the clock. So now the clock is ticking. They're taking their time. Of course, they have about 5-6 minutes or whatever, maybe 8 minutes to decide which guy they're going to take potentially in the first round. And everyone's been talking about 2 quarterbacks and just 2 quarterbacks only. And that's Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. So right now the Rams have to decide which of those 2 quarterbacks they're going to choose. I mean, they know right now who they're going to choose. They're going to milk the clock and build the anticipation as people try to decide who they're going to take. Now, whomever they take, we know what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do with that number 2 pick. But now what happens after that? What happens after that as the rounds go down? You know, what are the Denver Broncos going to do? What are the New England Patriots going to do? Especially knowing that Tom Brady's 4-game suspension has now been reinstated, and everyone's wondering, what are they going to do? And Jimmy Garoppolo, he may be an excellent option for down the road, but at least we get an opportunity to see him for the first 4 games. And might I add, I definitely think that they should rethink his suspension. And I can easily see maybe Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick thinking, see if we can get that suspension reduced to 2 games. To me, I think that's comparable. That makes a lot of sense. Why not do it? But the draft is tonight in Chicago. It is going to be really exciting to see certain teams try to change their future with one draft. And teams say this all the time. We're only 1 pick away from competing for an NFL title. But before you're able to compete for an NFL title, you first have to win your division. If you don't win your division, don't even think about a title. First things first. Can one player potentially do that for a team? Who knows? That player has to be an impact player. And when you talk about prime time impact positions, of course you think of quarterback. And the reason you think quarterback first is because the quarterback touches the ball on every single play, has the potential to change the game in your favor or not in your favor. But also you gotta look at the defensive side of the ball. Cornerbacks, you know, you can say, well, they come at a premium, but that all depends. If you look within your division, and that's how you have to build your team, look within your division, look at what other teams in your division, what they're doing, how they're building their team. You know, when you look at the AFC North, that is one of those black and blue divisions where all they do is they play great defense and they run the ball. Of course, they're able to pass the ball, but for years, that's what it's been. You run the ball, you play great defense. So if you're a team in that division, and Cleveland Browns have racked up a bevy of picks, thanks in part to the Philadelphia Eagles. So what you do now, if you're Cleveland Browns, if you're a Cleveland Brown fan, what you're hoping is that your team would actually go out, add some depth, add some impact positions. They need pass rushers. They need guys who can make plays outside the numbers, being wide receivers, because Travis Benjamin, their best receiving special teams player, he opted to go to sunny California and join Phillip Rivers in San Diego. So the Browns need some outside weapons. And knowing Josh Gordon, you know, his suspension, it's just kind of crazy, I have to say, with Josh Gordon. and that suspension. How guys get suspended and continue to make the same mistake over and over. But knowing as though Josh Gordon isn't going to be there, the Cleveland Browns need some offensive weapons. They have a great tight end, a guy who's going to be there for a couple of years, giving great production. But now you have McCown and you have RG3 as your quarterbacks. And looking at what Hugh Jackson was able to do with Andy Dalton, and looking at the Cincinnati Bengals and the way that team was made up, I'm sure that is something that they're trying to do, use that blueprint and trying to make this Cleveland Browns team that much better with all the picks that they have. So I said it years ago, and I still stay true to it. Cleveland Browns will be a better team in 2017, but more importantly, they're going to start to make strides in 2016, starting, with this draft. So I don't believe that old frame of mind, that being one player away, because I don't believe one player can actually change the course of an NFL franchise. You're talking about a group of players, because we have to remember, this isn't golf. This is NFL professional football, and the last time I checked, it's 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, and they have to play together collectively. And I think Cleveland Browns could be that team, because we know there's ebbs and flows to this game. You can't get too high and you can't get too low, and you have to wonder about the other teams in your division. Ben Roethlisberger, how long or how many more years that he can play, or shall I say elite years that he can give the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I can tell you this, the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting back to those winning ways based upon defense. We know they have a great front seven. If they can shore up that secondary with some picks, I think in the draft, the Hargrave kid out of Florida, now you're talking about a game changer for that team, and they could be on the verge of another run. So that AFC North is a very interesting division within itself. But like I said before, you can't play chess with checker pieces. And it starts today with the NFL Draft in Chicago, Chi-Town. Franchises, fans, they're going to look to have their fortunes change, as I said, and we'll just have to wait to see what happens. I'm Nick Ferguson, and that's my secondary perspective.